Hello, and welcome to this tutorial about using the house.gov and senate.gov websites to find information about your members of Congress. So first, we are going to start at house.gov, which of course is the page for the United States House of Representatives. Now this page doesn't just help you find information about your representative, it also tells you information about what the House is doing as a whole. So as you can see from this tabs, representatives, of course, will talk about the individual members. We get information on the leadership, who is the speaker, the Republican leadership, as well as the Democratic leadership. We can look up information on committees. So if you have a particular committee you want to know more about, you can click on it here. We can find information about legislative activities. We can see a calendar of events. We can also see some related resources here. And finally, if you need some information maybe to review what the procedures and norms of the House are, you can get some information on that here. Okay, so let's go back to the main page. And once again, we can see, if you don't go to click the tabs, you can see legislative activity here. Committee schedules, what hearings will there be in the near future, as well as floor proceedings, recent votes, and bills and reports. You can also get to the House overview down here, as well as get some public disclosure information. So let's look up our representative. We are going to use Bridgewater zip code, so 02324. We're going to look up. And here we go. We've got information about the representative for that area. With our information, it tells us that this is the 8th Congressional District of Massachusetts. We get a map that we can zoom in if we want to make sure we're right. And it tells us who our representative for this district is. As you can see, it is Stephen F. Lynch, who is a Democrat. If you click on his name, it will bring you to his website where you can find information about him. Go to About. There's typically the biography, information about committees, as well as their official photo if you're interested in that. They typically have constituent services information about their district, information about what they've been doing in the legislature and what issues are important to them, as well as information about how to contact them. Typically there's email contacts as well as information about their DC and local offices. There's often typically an option to keep in touch with them. Here we can see their newsletter. You can also stay in touch with them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, however you prefer to get your news. Okay, now if we go back to the About tab, we see what committees he's on. This tells us he's on these committees. Now, if we want to know more about them, we can go back to the House website and go to committees. And so he was on the Overview Committee, which is down here. The screen isn't really showing it, but we're going to click on it, and we're going to be brought to the majority page. Okay, so remember, whoever has the majority in the House gets to be the chair of the committee, and they're in charge of the main page. Okay, so here are information, lots of information, press, members of the information about their subcommittee, hearings, About's going to have their members, etc. And as you go down, this is going to relate to the majority typically. Okay. And if we go down even further, unfortunately, the recording window is not quite handling this. You will see a link to the minority page. And as you can see here in the URL bar, it says Democrats Oversight House.gov. And so this brings you to the minority page. And remember, the highest ranking minority member, which in this case is a Democrat, will be called the ranking member of the committee. And so we can see that theirs looks a little bit different than the majority page. All right, so now we figured out how do we find information about our member, about the House of Representatives. How do we find information about our senators? Now, this is a little bit easier in a way. We're going to go to senate.gov. And of course, remember, the Senate is a multi-member district. Each state has 2 senators, and they're exactly the same for everyone in the state. Okay, so before we look up our senators, let's look at the website and get used to the website. We can find our senators here. We can view archived floor proceedings. Once again, we could get information on our senators, leadership, former senators, facts and milestones as well. Information on committees, including memberships and assignments, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Information about legislation, art and history, as well as reference, which kind of tells you a little bit more about the Senate. Scrolling down, a lot of the same information we had on the House page are information about our floor proceedings, information about their previous meeting, information about scheduled hearings, research, recent roll call votes, as well as public disclosures. Okay, so let's find our senators. Like I said, pretty easy. We're just going to go to our state, which in this case is going to be Massachusetts. And it's going to tell us our senators. And it also very nicely tells us what Congress we're in. We're in the 115th Congress. So here it tells us what our senators are, tells us what class they are, and you can figure out what class. This is basically, senators are divided into 3 classes for purpose of elections. So terms for senator in class 1 expire in 2019, class 2 in 2021, and class 3 in 2023. So as you can see here, Elizabeth Warren is in class 1, so she is up for re-election in the midterms of 2018. We have information, we have D, what their party affiliation is, and then their state, information about their DC office, their DC phone number, and a link to their contact, how to email them, their contact me page. So we're going to click on Senator Markey's page because I really like his page. It provides a lot of information about what he's doing on the Hill that's really useful. Okay? So it's got information about the services they can provide, what are his priorities, how does he stand on the issues, information about him, including what's happening in the Senate. And this gives you information about how he's voted on bills and what gives you a little description about what they were, as well as the result of each bill. So here we see he voted yay on the passage of H.R. 6, and that the bill did pass overwhelmingly 99-1. Okay, we have information just like on the House page, your House pages, information about news. Yeah, they also typically have information about the state, and finally information about contacting them. So you can email him, or if you go to office locations, typically is where you will find information about their office locations in state, including the phone numbers. So we can see he's got locations in Boston, Fall River, Springfield, and also his DC office. Now, one of the things that the Senate page does not have is that, or Senate individual senators pages tend not to have, information about committees. But the Senate page makes it a lot easier to find out who's on what committee than the House does. So basically, we just go to committees, membership, and assignment, and we can choose either by the committee or by our senator. Okay, so we'll pick Markey again. We'll go and we see what committees he's on, as well as what subcommittees he's on. Once again, you click on these committees, it's hyperlinked. It'll bring you to first information about the committee. Okay, so this just tells you information about the committee, what subcommittees they have, who's in the majority, so what are the Republican members. Remember, Republicans right now in 2018 control the Senate, so they are the majority. The majority here is often also called the chairman, the highest ranking majority member. The highest ranking minority member, of course, is called the ranking member. If you scroll down the page, you'll see the membership list for each subcommittee as well. But let's go click on the link to bring us to the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, which my internet has decided to slow down just so slightly. All right, now that we're back, you can see we are at the page for the U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Just like the House committees, the first page you come to, the landing page, is going to be for the majority. The majority will be responsible for maintaining this page. So we're going to get information on news. We're going to get different, now each committee is different, but this is kind of like a blog, as you can see. We have information about, hearings that they'll be having, their subcommittees, their legislation and oversights, press room, this is press releases that the majority chooses to put out, and then we'll have the minority page, which has information about the minority members as well, and gives you the news that they want to put out and focus on. Alright, on that note, we are going to wrap up this look at how to use congress.gov and senate.gov. I hope it proves useful, not just in finishing your homework, but also in your future life as an active citizen of the United States.